Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Wednesday, February 27th, 2019, with my next update video. My last update for the month of February, and I finally made it back to Wednesday, so real quick turnaround here since my last update. Bit of a different setup today. I watched the playback of my last video and I hated the coloring. It just didn't work for me. And so I thought that I would switch things up and take advantage of that gigantic window that we have here in the dining room and see if I can try to get some color back. I don't know, it wasn't working last week. It was highly overcast last week, and the same is true again today, so I figure I'll just switch it up. So this is kind of a throwback to my very first FlossTube video. This is where I sat for that video, and for a couple more, I think, after that. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, more boring walls. Yep. But that's how it is. So what do we have to talk about today? I have a couple of different things, like a couple of things that I hope to become new segments, but I make no promises or grand statements if that's the case. And the first of which, if you're looking at the timestamps, is going to be thank you for the mention. And so I'll talk more about that when we get there. I also have an FFO, me, can you believe it, that I would like to talk to you about. Works in progress, of course. My immediate plans, and then because March starts on Friday, I probably need to tell you guys what I'm going to be working on in March, and so I'll do my my little video screen recording clip thing. So we'll talk about that. No haul this week. There will be some next week, and no knitting this week, but lots to talk about in books because new month starts on Friday, just like with stitching whips, and so I will talk to you guys about my TBR for March, and hopefully it will go a little bit better than February did, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and get into the first topic for conversation, and that is thank you for the mention. I don't know if it's just me, and maybe it is, but when I'm watching FlossTube and somebody says my name, I go through this sort of little mini roller coaster. It's this, they're talking about me. And then they're not talking about me. And then I'm like, no, they're talking about me. And I don't know, it just gives me this little warm and fuzzy feeling. And so I just thought that each week I am going to sort of mini shout out / just thanks for the mention. I think that FlossTube is a word of mouth kind of community, and a lot of times we don't hear about new channels until somebody talks about them. And so maybe this will sort of help my viewers branch out and see some channels that maybe they haven't seen before. So this last week, I have watched quite a bit of FlossTube. I'm in an effort to catch up. And what that really means in FlossTube land, I don't know. Catching up has not been exactly possible for a couple years now. But I'm trying to catch up and reach a point where I can watch today's videos today or tomorrow. I'm trying to not be weeks and months behind. What that means is that I am throwing a bunch of videos, I'll be honest, a lot of my must-watch, into my watch later and then shuffle and just watch as much as I possibly can. What this means is that I'm not getting as much exposure to new channels currently, but I will. I promise I'm gonna get back to watching more currently. So that's why I've got 4 here today. And I can't believe it that I have 4. But, okay, I have it written on my phone, so let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. And so these are the people who mentioned me in one of their videos recently that I have watched. So Michelle from Cozy Egg, she mentioned me along with Michelle, Benny Stitching Michelle, because we are responsible for her joining School of Magical Stitches. So you're welcome, Michelle. And So thank you for the mention. Another is Kat from Cross Stitch Chaos. She mentioned me as well. She was talking about how Sammy J has convinced me to join all of the things. Not incorrect, that's for sure. I've gotten to chat with Kat during some virtual Stitchers hangouts. And so that's been pretty cool. Let's see. The next one is actually a new FlossTuber, and that is Melissa, the Daily Mel. She is not new to YouTube, but she's new to FlossTube land. And she... FlossTube land. She gave me a really, really sweet shout out, and so Melissa, just thank you for that. I have followed Melissa on, I want to call her Mel. I followed her on Instagram for a while, and she's also into School of Magical Stitches because just about everybody is, and yeah, it's grand. So be sure to check out the Daily Mel. Like I said, she's not new to YouTube, so she has quite a following already, but definitely check her out. Her floss tubes are great. And then this morning I watched Ann P, and one of the projects that she worked on recently was with relation to School of Magical Stitches and Literature. And she had to work on something that she was enabled to start or buy or whatever. And I guess I can take the blame for that as well. So thanks, Anne, for the mention. Thanks all for the mention. Just thought that I would do some sort of mini shout outs and say thank you. Let's talk about FFOs. Singular this time, but some other things in the works. So after my last video, actually before my last video, Danny and I went out to Michael's to pick up some things so that I could do some FFOing. When I finished Perfect Christmas Santa and then I fully finished it immediately after, that felt really good. And I kind of want to make that a habit. When I get a finish, I would like to have a fully finish as soon as possible afterwards. It's not always going to be possible. Some things are going to have to be professionally framed, and I just don't have the money sort of laying around that I can just throw into professional framing. So it's not always going to be possible to fully finish immediately. On top of that, I've also sort of thought about my backlog of things that I've wanted to fully finish that I just haven't. And so how am I going to make time for that? Well, mini finishes. I have those pretty regularly, and so I thought that every time I get a mini finish, I'm going to fully finish something in my backlog. As of today, I have 4 mini finishes this year, so I'm a little bit behind, but I have 2 things that are very close to being fully finished, and I'll show you those another time, and then another that I have all of the materials, so I just have to get going on it. So that's sort of what spurred this on. Now, I posted about this on the Stitcher's Coven. I was intending on holding on to this as sort of a secret until the video today, or until I got a bunch of things done and could share on Instagram, but I gotta tell you guys, when I finished this, I was so stupid excited. I couldn't help it. I had to show somebody. And this was perfect to share with the Stitcher's Coven. So let me show you what I did. Oh, glare, Batman. There we go. Can you guys see that? I'm so excited. I'm still like losing my stuff all about this. Yeah, this is fabulous. So what I did is I burned it. This is Double Double by the Prairie Schooler, and I stitched it on 30 count parchment linen from Weeks Dye Works, my first and last Weeks Dye Works linen, and I finished this in 2017, and yeah, so I burned it. So it's funny, I had the title for last week's video figured out for a long time, Liar Liar Pants on Fire. And so while that video is saving and uploading, I'm burning this, and I'm like, well, that's funny. And I shared about it on Instagram that I was burning it because I was following McKenna's tutorial, and it was It's really great. You should definitely, if you're interested in doing something like this, definitely check out her tutorial. It's super easy. I was worried that the whole thing was going to catch fire and I was going to be SOL. But that is not the case because of just some necessary steps and some necessary items that you need. It's a really easy process, and you get this super creative, awesome finish out of it. So I put it in a floating frame because I wanted that to be visible. And how thematically perfect is this? First of all, the linen is parchment. So burned parchment, like that's just thematically perfect. And then we've got witches. Yeah, I'm super proud of it. So I didn't wash the piece. I didn't iron it. There are Thor hairs and there are bits of sort of ash from the burning kind of all over it. It's not perfect. It's not pretty. It's not clean. And I think it's just perfect like that. I may take it out and clean both sides of both pieces of plastic that make the floating bit. I may clean those just a little bit because there's fingerprints and whatnot from me messing around and trying to get this done. And I may also need to center this a little bit better because I just threw it in there. I just slapped it in there. It was such a McKenna channeling moment. Just get it in. Just get it done. So I'm so excited about it. My first, like, I don't know, sort of homemade FFO, except for like ornaments and stuff. And this was the perfect thing to start off with because it really got my momentum going. So now I have this and it's all FFO'd and it's super glary. I think I got this frame for like $6 at Michael's. It's damaged somewhere, so they took some off for me. But that was fine by me. I knew what I was going to do with it, so I was so excited. So much fun. I actually had to burn it twice, fun fact, because I burned it once and it was too big. It was too big for my little frame here. So I had to trim that stuff off and then burn it again. It's so good. It's so good. So there's my FFO. And like I said, I'm pretty close to my next couple, so perhaps I will show you those next week. So that's very exciting. Okay, let's get into the works in progress. So last Friday when I filmed, I was working on In This Moment by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner. And I'm going to show you that last, but here's sort of how the timeline works from the last 5 days. 5-ish. So worked on that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for Belinda Aussie Stitcher's birthday. Now, I had no intentions of finishing the page by Sunday. I had sort of calculated it out that I needed 600 stitches on average, and then I would be able to finish the page tomorrow. Well, most of you will know, if you follow me on Instagram, that I finished the page on Sunday. I stitched so much this weekend. I was just so motivated to the finish. It was Stitch-a-thon weekend. Danny went out on Saturday night to Buddy's house. Like, it just all sort of came together. And so I'll show you that here in a minute. Crazy pants. So then Monday rolls around and it was time to get to my temperature balloons. So this is just a rough general sort of idea of placement for the temperature balloon Sal. This is of course a pattern by Stitch and Mommy, our very own Sarah. And so as you guys know, I dedicate a couple days towards the end of the month to play catch up. And I am doing just the highs for Blacksburg, Virginia. And so this is where I got to Monday. Yeah. So it's crazy pants. I know. It's wild. The colors are insane. Nothing makes sense. It's the weirdest looking balloon. Even Danny was like, that's really funky looking. I was like, I know it is. but what am I going to do? Like, it's Blacksburg weather for you. This pale black here, that's a 70-degree day in February in Blacksburg, Virginia. It's absolutely unheard of. Here, this purple is a snow day, and then the next day it was in the 60s. So yeah, I am all caught up through the 24th of February. And I was going to hang out with this again I was going to work on it again on Tuesday to put in the 25th, but I just decided against it. I put it away. Because School of Magical Stitches and Literature. So I finally had a point in my monthly rotation where I could pull out tiny decisions. I haven't been able to spin tiny decisions for so long, and I was really kind of looking forward to it. I finished the page on Sunday, so I had the whole week ahead of me, or at least up until Friday, where I could just kind of work on what I wanted to, or whatever tiny decisions told me. But School of Magical Stitches had other plans for me. So this week, our homework is, it's a free week because it's a short week before the end of term or the end of the school year. School year 3 starts on Friday. And so it's a short week. And because Dobby, the house elf, was freed at the end of book 2, we are having a free week. And so it's work on whatever you want, and you get a point for every set of 200 stitches that you do. There are before and after pictures required and whatnot, but 1 point for every 200 stitches. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going back to a Haid, because when I get into a good groove with a Haid, then I fly through. I make really fast, quick progress. It's really easy to count. I don't have to spend time counting. I can just stitch my heart out. So back to the In This Moment we go. So I can show you this now. This is In This Moment, aka McKenna. This appears to be the McKenna episode a little bit. And so I am now working on page 16. And that is Swan's Neck and some of this plant flowery business. Okay, so this is not going to show you, you're not going to be able to see all of page 10, which is the one that I finished on Sunday, but in my before and after pictures, I will show you a full view of not only the page, but also the project at that point. So I was going to unroll this, but I'm at like just the right spot with it, and because I'm mid-page, like there's all sorts of stuff going on. So here's where we are. Bring her in close. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Oh, those colors, man. They just do it for me. All of it, so good. So here is the hair page that I finished up, and you see all these parts threads here, this gorgeous collection of blues. I gotta tell you, getting into this page, as I've said over and over again with new page starts, it goes a little slow. And this is especially true because I'm so used to working with like a set of 11 to 15 shades of blue, and they're not here in this corner. So I've had to reorient myself with my thread organizers and get used to some of the other symbols and their colors. So that's taken a little bit. Plus, and maybe for the best, let me set this down. I immediately got into some confetti. So I have a hard time with this piece when it's just straight background. It's just not as much fun to stitch. And so getting into some confetti, that's pretty great. I like it. That flowery plant is pretty confetti heavy in places. And so I'm just gonna work my way down in 200 stitch segments. So I finished page 10 and I'm super excited It's my 8th page finish for the project, and I'm just feeling really good about the progress that I've made this year and in these last couple of years. Her 4th birthday is coming up in March at some point, and so it just feels really good to have 8 pages done. And then I am taking my pictures of like the full view, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is really coming together, and it's big and it's beautiful, and I'm so excited. Okay, so let me pull something up real quick. I think that I'm at a point where I have over 60,000 stitches done. That's amazing, right? 60,000 stitches in one project? Let me see for certain. Yeah, just over 60,000 stitches. And that doesn't include what I've done already on page 16. It's just through page 10, or my 8th page. 60,000 stitches. That's phenomenal. Not only that, but it's over 21%. I'm over a 1/5 of the way through this project. I'm ecstatic. I'm losing my stuff all about it. I'm just really excited. Here's a sobering thought. I still have over 200,000 stitches to go. The whole project is 277,725 to be exact, and I still have over 200,000 stitches to go. Oh my goodness. So, I don't know, like it kind of brought me down a notch. Like I was kind of puffing up my chest a little bit, like, look at me, look at how awesome I am, look at all this progress I'm making, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not as far along as I maybe would like to be. So, anyway, it was just a bit of a sobering thought. Just brought me down back to earth, I suppose. I am still excited about the progress. Please don't take that as me like being all bummed out. I have made really good progress, and I know that. It's just not as, it's not as like, yeah, I'm going to finish this tomorrow kind of a thing as I was feeling. Progress is the key with these Heaven and Earth designs. It's just continuing to make progress. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep working on her. Having finished page 10, I have to finish a page every other month for the rest of the year. I don't have to finish a page every month anymore. I got way ahead of the game here in February. I got a little bit ahead of the game in January, way ahead in February. I mathed it out at the beginning of the year, and I think I had to do 4,300 stitches, give or take, a month, and I'm well ahead of that. So I should be at 8,600, and I am at 15 grand. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of stitching. So anyway, so a page finish every other month. And I think that it's probably going to be the odd months where I get them done because I just have more dedicated time to them. But we'll see how it shakes out. Who knows? Maybe I'll be done with this goal by August, and then I can work on some of my other hates. That would be great. Let's switch over into plans. I've alluded to it. I'm going to be working on In This Moment through the end of the month. So it's going to get, I think it will be 10 days in the month of February when it was only supposed to be 5. But that's okay. So 8 shakes out in School of Magical Stitches. So that is where I will be for the rest of the month. Then I will insert here the clip of what I will be working on in the month of March. I did my random number generator WhipGo draws, and so I will insert that here so that you guys can see what I'm working on. Okay, everybody, it's time to figure out March. It is about 10:30 Wednesday, and I am just about to start filming. but I thought that I would real quick here, figure out what I'm going to be working on in March. So you guys know that every month I have 2 5-day rotations that are devoted to my WhipGo projects. And at the start of each month, or at the end of the previous month really, I randomly draw here with you guys to figure out what those are going to be. So on the left we have standard setup here. I have random.org pulled up with the random number generator and 1 through 25 ready to go. On the right you will see my WhipGo board. There's a little bit of a change that I made. So if it's not been called but it's been finished, then it's in this dark gray color. That's really the only change that I made. I just thought that I would sort of make those more prominent. And yeah, there are all kinds of stipulations and rules as far as what can be called. And so rather than go through that every month, I'm just going to hit generate. And if those things come up, then we'll deal with it. So let's go ahead and get this going. And I'm going to generate our first one, which is number 8, which is forever and ever. And if I had picked, this would come up because this is one of the projects that I'm so looking forward to coming back to. So very excited about that. Okay, and then number 2 is number 5, which is Fantasy Sal. Since that's already been called, I am going to generate again. And it gave it to me again. So let's try that one more time. And we got number 7, which is Away We Ride. This is fun. Since I have reached my year-end goal on Away We Ride, I will draw again. And this time we get number 23, which is Beauty and the Beast, which, funnily enough, is another one that I've been looking forward to getting back to. So that's pretty interesting. Forever and Ever and Beauty and the Beast. Okay, so let's go over here and pull up my Stitchy calendar for the month, and I'll input those. This actually works out pretty nicely because of the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. Both of these projects I have pulled for March and April extra credit, so that's pretty promising. Let's see if I can spell beauty. There we go. Alright, so fill those in for those 2 WhipGo focus weeks. Okay, so there's March filled out. So let's sort of talk through it. As you guys know, my first 5-day rotation goes to In This Moment, and I fit it into either the Stitch Mania Sal and or the Full Coverage Fanatic Sal for the month, so they're themed, sort of month-long theme sals. And in March, the month-long theme sal in Full Coverage Fanatics is Vintage. As much as I would like to be able to spin some sort of tale to try to get In This Moment to fit, I can't. Yeah, it's too modern, and so I'm just not going to be able to fit that into the Vintage sal, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's okay, because it does fit in with the Stitch Mania month-long, which is with relation to International Women's Day, which takes place in March. And so the month of the woman, and In This Moment is definitely a woman. So I will be working on In This Moment for that sal. Then we head into my next Stargazer rotation, and you will see these 2 days here that are kind of purpled out a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to get to stitch on those 2 days. We are going to be in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech is playing Miami in basketball on Friday the 8th, and so we're going to head down for the game. So I don't know if I'm going to get to stitch either of these 2 days, and if I do, I doubt that it's going to be on these 2. Or, excuse me, on this project for these 2 days. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it's all right. I'll be okay with a sort of shortened timeline for Stargazer this month. It'll be just fine, and maybe I can fit her in somewhere else. And I'm certain that I will at some point down the line. So that is that. Then starting on the 11th, I lead into my WhipGo Focus weeks. I doubt that I'm going to reach the goal. Oh, wait. I'm not going to reach the goal on Forever and Ever, but Beauty and the Beast, I think I said 5 days. So that is promising. I could get through that. Then, because this is an odd month, I have a second 5-day rotation on In This Moment. However, Emily's Goat Load, um, kind of interrupts that a little bit. So for Emily's birthday, as I've talked about for a little while here, we are doing Goat Load by Plum Street Samplers. And the sale starts, I suppose, on the 1st, but it just works out better for me to put it down here and to actually work on it on Emily's birthday. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start Goat Load on the 25th, and that will be my first pseudo new start for the year, unless you count in this moment pages. Anyway, so I will work on that for 3 days. That's typically what I do for these undetermined birthday sales. So I'll work on that for 3 days, maybe finish it. That would be fun, but we'll see. And then my 5th day on in this moment, I was originally going to scrap this 5th day, but I need it because I would like to get page 16 done here in the month of March. I think that would be pretty fabulous to have a page finish every month. Yeah, I'm liking that. And so I could do it without this 5th day, but this 5th day means that I don't have to set my daily stitch count so high. So there's that. Then my last 3 days of the month are going to go to temperature balloons. We'll see if I need it. These last 2 months I've been able to get caught up all in one day. But I don't know if that's going to be the same case. I just don't know if that's going to be the case here. And then down here in this sort of blurple color, that is Miss Oh So Crafty's birthday sal. So Stephanie's birthday is in April. I think April the 4th? Yes. So here's a quick little sneak preview of April. And she has put together a 7-day sort of daily rotation challenge sal for her birthday. And I will talk more about these projects and how I'm making them fit the various tasks for her birthday sal. I'll talk more about that as we get closer, because they are subject to change. So yeah, we'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer. And that's March. March is a longer month. It's comparatively speaking to February, which was over in a blink. And I'm looking forward to getting to work on Forever and Ever and Beauty and the Beast. I'm super excited about that. Okay, everybody, that's all I've got. Oh, the 25th is in this moment's birthday as well. That's funny. I hadn't seen that before. Huh. Anyway, random. That's all I've got for you. I'm going to get you back to the other video. All right, so I'm really excited, like I said, for Forever and Ever and Beauty and the Beast. I'm so ready to work on those projects. As I mentioned, I have pulled those for March and April extra credit in School of Magical Stitches and Literature. And I debated going through what I have pegged for those, but I think that I'm just going to talk about the things when they come up. If they apply to an extra credit, then I'll talk about it. A lot of people are going to discuss what each of the prompts are, and so I'll leave that to them. You guys can talk about the prompts, and I will talk about them as and when they come up. So, as you saw, first 5-day rotation is in this moment. Second 5-day rotation starts on the 6th, which is next Wednesday, and that is Stargazer by Mirabilia. I don't know if I'm going to get to film next Monday. Of course, that's always the plan, but life happens. So I brought it here to show you where I'll be starting from. On the off chance that I don't get to stitch next Wednesday, or don't get to film next Wednesday, or I decide to stitch in the morning, whatever. So this is Mirabilia's Stargazer, and I'm so excited to work on her again, finally. And so this is on a 32 count Lugana, nope, not Lugana, Belfast linen in Florin by Chromatic Alchemy. I don't know where that was going. And Virginia Tech inspired conversion. She may go with me to Blacksburg, just so I could take a picture of her, like maybe with Burris in the background. Wouldn't that be fun? But we'll see. We'll see if that actually comes to pass. So this is where I'm starting from. I've got to fix this, get over here, and then figure out if I need to fix it, and then fix it. as I talked about last time, but I will talk next time, or I guess 2 weeks, what actually happens with that. So there is that. And one thing I did want to mention, it took me a little while to get the hair conversion posted, and so I apologize for that. But it is now in the description box of my last video, as well as I pinned the comment. I left a comment on it and pinned that to the top of the comment section from last week. So if you were looking for that and a little disappointed that it took me forever, I'm sorry, but it's up there now. So that's it for plans as far as stitching is concerned. We are chugging right along here. I'm liking it. So let's switch over and talk about books. Okay, so first things first, what I'm currently reading, that would be Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And I know you guys are all like, hey Jess, that's supposed to be done tomorrow. I know. I've got about 150 pages to go. This is the illustrated edition, of course. And so I've got about 150 pages to go. No problem. I'm going to read a good bit today and finish it up tomorrow. I procrastinated on this just a little bit. The thing is that I wanted to finish reading the book before Danny and I sat down to watch the movie for February extra credit. And so I just kept reading it off because I didn't know when we were going to get a chance to do that. Well, it's the 11th hour, and so we're going to do that today. And so we'll just watch it before I finish reading it. It's okay. It's like my 18th reread of the book, so I'm not worried. So there is that. The other book that I was supposedly reading when I talked to you guys last was The Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. I tabled it again because I ran out of time and I haven't read it in 2 weeks. So I tabled it for the rest of the month and just decided to focus solely on Harry, because that is the kind of the basis for School of Magical Stitches and Literature. So I am focusing on Chamber of Secrets for the rest of this month. So a couple days ago, I think late Monday night my time, Kate and Vicky released the prompts and extra credit for pretty much everything except for homework. They released that on Monday night. And so I have sorted out my plan for what I'm going to be reading. And so I thought that I would talk to you guys about my TBR for the month of March. I have picked all of my books for all 12, I think 12. Yes, all 12 prompts, including the extra credit, the Harry Potter, and the alternate book. So I got all 12 scheduled out, but I broke it up between the 2 months because that was a lot. It was like 7,000 pages. It's never going to happen. February was not a good reading month, and so I needed to sort of pull it back in a little bit. So I'm going to talk to you guys about what I'm reading in March and why. Okay, so up first is, of course, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is a chunky one, so I'm going to have to get a jump on this one a little bit sooner than I did with Chamber of Secrets. I love this. This is when the series gets really good. The first 2 books, admittedly, are verging towards childish. And not silly childish, but just, it's geared towards a younger audience. This is when things start getting darker. This is when things start getting more grown up. And I'm so excited about it. This is not my favorite of the series, but it's nonetheless, it's a really good one. So I'm excited to get to The Prisoner of Azkaban. And this was a gift from my brother for Christmas a couple years ago. So very excited for that. For the alternate book for March and April, the sort of requirement, scavenger hunt almost kind of thing, is a book with an animal on a cover. I have tons of those. I have plenty of options in my library back there with animals on the cover. However, there is a book that released yesterday, and it was on my list of highly anticipated releases for the year. I have been super excited about this book, and so that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I have 2 books in one of Samantha Shannon's series for young adult that I haven't read yet, but this is a high epic fantasy standalone. It's not a series. It's one big book, but just one. It's like, I don't know, 850 pages, no sweat. She has said that she is definitely interested in telling more stories from the world of this book, but it's a standalone. It's built as a standalone. It's been written as a standalone. And the hype around this thing, I fell victim to it. I'm really excited about it. It will be in my mailbox on Friday. It is 850 pages, so I'm going to have to start reading it ASAP. And I'm so excited about it. I just can't even tell you guys. So that has a dragon on the cover. Dragon counts as an animal. So even if it's mythical, it's still an animal. And so I'm very excited about that. You will have seen a preview of the cover, this beautiful cover of this book, and I'm excited. Okay, so then we're going to get into the extra credit. And so I'll just walk you through my choices for a few of those, and I'll talk about the rest towards April. One of the prompts is characters with animal companions, because this year Hermione gets Crookshanks, her huge, ginormous ginger cat. And so I am going to be reading The Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. This might be a stretch, and so I might have to amend my plan a little bit, but because the elements are personified, they're given names and personalities. They aren't animals in the traditional sense, but they are nonetheless animal-like companions for 99.99% of the characters in this book. Again, they are sort of personified versions of the elements. So at this point, I have read about 2 earth crafters, and their earth crafted characters, creatures are very different. They don't operate the same, even though they both have the same basis. So that's my stretch. I hope it works. We can read books that we've already started, just so long as we're not quite halfway through. And of this 600-page book, I'm on page 275. So I'm not quite halfway. And it's taken me going on 3 months to read this. So I'm hoping that if I get a jump early on the audiobook, that I can get this finally finished this month and see how it goes. So, Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. The next 3 go together. And there are 3 separate prompts being satisfied by this. I'm going to read a trilogy straight through. So, one of the prompts is with relation to the Time Turner. Go back and reread a book. Shadow and Bone. This is a series in the Grisha verse by Leigh Bardugo. It is I'll call it high fantasy in young adult, and it's very Russian feel. It's got a very Russian feel. I mean, even the architecture here is very Russian feel. The characters are Alina Starkov, and Mal, whose name is not listed. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I read this as an advanced reader copy several years ago and absolutely loved it. Loved it so much that I went out and bought the hardcover. Now, if you have this book in paperback format in your possession, there is a page that Lee Bardugo put together where she listed the book bloggers who were responsible for helping build up the hype for this book. And my blog made the list. Very exciting. So my blog at the time was named The Daily Bookmark. And so if you have a paperback copy, see if you can find it. I think, if I remember right, it's towards the right side of that page. So check it out. Very cool. Just a little bit. And I really need to get a paperback copy so that I have a copy of that. So anyway, so as I said, reread. I've read this, I think, twice now. But I'm going to reread it a third time because I would like to read the rest of the series. So, let's see. The next prompt that this trilogy is applying to is with relation to the Marauders map. So read something with a map inside. Book 2 is called Siege and Storm, again with the Russian architecture. And so we had to read a book with a map. Where did my map go? There it is. So Ravka over there. The Unsea. If you guys have read Shadow and Bone, a lot of this is going to be familiar-ish. Anyway, so there is my map. I haven't read this yet, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to reread the first one, was to sort of get back into the world and get back to the series. And then the last prompt that this trilogy is applying to is I had it. Oh, because this is book 3 in the series, we are to read a book from a trilogy, and so I'm going to read book 3 from this trilogy. And again, with the Russian architecture, this time with a phoenix up top. And I'm so excited. I haven't binge read a series in so long, and so I'm gonna finally do that. One thing that I did want to talk to you guys about. So I have a library, as I've mentioned, and one of the resources that I would really like to sort of share is Book Outlet. Book Outlet sells cheap books. They have books for bargain, or what they call scratch and dent. You can't always guarantee what they have in stock. You kind of go to bookoutlet.com and let them tell you what to buy, rather than go in there with a shopping list, because their stock is constantly changing. And so I think I got both of these hardcover first editions for $7 combined. Really, no joke, super cheap. And I know that I got it from there because they do these dots on the bottom. It's fine, it doesn't mar the pages or anything like that. But I just thought that I would mention that if you guys are looking at buying books, that's a really great resource. They sell box sets, hardcovers. It's a really great spot to get children's books because they always have children's books that I'm not in the market for children's books these days, but just a lot of obscure, maybe. Just a really great resource. Anyway, just thought I would share that. So that is all that I have planned for books. I do have another book that I may read alongside this that I have on my Kindle, but I'll talk about that if it comes up. I've got a lot ahead of me. This is kind of a big pile to chew. So I will start here. And that is going to bring us to the end of the video. I can't believe it. Raw footage under 50 minutes. Who'da thunk? But I guess that's pretty exorbitant since I was just here 5 days ago. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you for your continued support of me and my channel. If you're new here, I hope that you enjoyed what you saw. Feel free to come back next time. And if you are a returning viewer, then thank you. Bottom of my heart for you guys. Much appreciated for those of you that come back each and every week. FlossTube is huge, and so the fact that you choose to spend some time with me on a regular basis, just the best. Thank you. So I am going to head off here. I've got a lot of reading to do. I've got some stitching to do. I will catch you all next time. As always, be kind. See you next week.